Now, Matt Maley is Chief Market Strategist at Tabak and Co. He also writes the Maley Report newsletter. Joining us now, thank you so much for your time, Matt. So, this is a significant listing. What does it actually mean for China's semiconductor chip-making sector?
Well, it's definitely very, very important because, as you mentioned, China has been very dependent on foreign chips, especially with these memory chips. I mean, we've seen this major change from just AI training to AI inference, and now to agentic AI. And these memory chips are becoming more and more important. So the fact that they're able to raise this kind of money to move into that area in a more significant way and become less reliant on foreign chips is going to be very important for the company and for the country. But it's also going to create some significant competition for these other companies outside of China.
It's interesting that CXMT wants to list this month, because if you look at DRAM chips, which are in huge demand, the top three companies, they're very volatile at the moment. Why is that?
Yeah, there's no question that part of it has to do with this offering here, and the people worried about some of this competition. But there's also, of course, people worried about the ROI, the return on investment that some of these hyperscalers are getting or are not getting from their big investments. So people are starting to worry a little bit that they may pull back on their demand for all these chips. So that's the reason for the volatility here. But I think it's still a good time for CXMT to be in getting involved in this deal, just in case things do turn down in a more significant way.
Of course, CXMT, when it lists, is going to hopefully raise at least $8.5 billion. Do you think it's going to be using that to try and ramp up its DRAM production and ultimately squeeze Micron out of spot number 3 in those global rankings?
Well, that's certainly going to be its goal, and it's part of a bigger goal that over the next the President Xi wants to get over the next 5 to 10 years to be the dominant technology leader in the world, and this is an important area for them to start, and so this is a good first move for them, and whether it works or not, we'll see, but it's something that's certainly creating a lot of tension among some of their competitors.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because at the moment we know that Apple really wants to buy DRAM chips from CXMT, but it wants US government approval first. What would it mean for CXMT to get Apple as a client?
Well, that would be dramatic. I mean, it's funny because one of the things that they've been talking about Apple for the last couple of years about missing the AI move. Well, really, some people are saying they're smart as a fox. Dumb as a fox, that they've been holding off and not spending that money, but they will spend it once, some of the dust settles. And and obviously, as one of the main leaders, the biggest demand companies in the world, that would be a huge contract for China.
I wonder if you could give us some insight into why these chips, which essentially are, moving this AI boom so quickly, why are they strategically important and such sensitive items?
Well, the biggest thing is that on top of the demand, there's a shortage. There just isn't enough out there to meet the demand that they have, and so if the big question right now is, will there be a lower price involved? And people are worried about that over the longer term. But near term, the pricing is still very, very strong. And therefore, that's where the margins are. That's where the profits are. And so it's the most important issue facing a lot of these companies in the technology sector right now.
How important will companies like CXMT become? Because this AI boom is just, it's got such momentum now, and we are seeing everyone using these large language models. The general public is really realizing how incredibly useful it all is. What role do you see for a company like CXMT going forward?
Well, it's going to be very interesting because one of the things is that they're playing catch-up. But in an odd way, that actually may work to their benefit because some of these other companies have expanded so far, so fast that if things do slow down, and there are a lot of people who are worried that we're in an AI bubble, But the thing is, AI is going to change the world, and just like the internet did. So those who survive, those who are actually coming in a little bit late, might actually do a little bit better. So this is going to be something that actually could work to their benefit in a very kind of odd way.
Thank you so much for chatting to us. Matt Maley is Chief Market Strategist at Tabak & Co. He also writes the Maley Report newsletter.